Good afternoon. Please be seated. Firstly, welcome to Connecticut, where it could be January one day and August the next, raining in the morning, and can you believe this? Beautiful day. But seriously, welcome, and we are so happy that you are here to join us for the installation of our 14th president of Albertus Magnus College, Dr. Marc M. Camille. In 1925, at the dedication of the college, the Reverend Arthur Chandler said this college is created for the purpose of, in his words, to educate women for critical thinking and for leadership and to be the honor of the ladyhood of the future. Now, I don't know about you, but to my ears, that sounds just a little bit dated and maybe even a little bit classist. But let's step back for a moment to that time and consider that there was this institution down the street. I don't know if any of you happen to be familiar with it. It's a little university called Yale. And at Yale, women were not allowed to be admitted. But something that I discovered, which is even more interesting, is that another great university in the state, Wesleyan University, was admitting women until 1909, 16 years before Albertus was founded. But in 1909, the Board of Trustees at Wesleyan University voted to stop admitting women to the university. A move that the New York Times, being that liberal bastion that it is, proclaimed as a wise move. So think about it. Think about how courageous, how daring, how revolutionary it was for a group of Dominican sisters, our Dominican Sisters of Peace, under the leadership of Mother Stephanie Moen, to send a group of sisters from Ohio to make that commitment, to send them to Connecticut with very few resources, to start a college for a group of people who, while maybe not legally barred from higher education, were in fact blocked from it. Those sisters did not merely espouse the Dominican motto, contemplare et contemplata alias tradere, to contemplate and to give the fruits of your contemplation to others. They lived it. They lived it by going beyond safe walls. They lived it by taking risks. They lived it by being innovative and demanding. They demanded of their students, and I might say they still do, that they extend themselves beyond who they thought they could be, who society told them that they could be, in order to prepare them for the pursuit of truth. The core of Albertus Magnus College was then and is now to prepare students for that pursuit and to extend the possibilities of that pursuit, to make it accessible to others. It's the product of actually an 800-year tradition. And it's important to think about exactly what it means when a Dominican college, a college like Albertus, talks about preparing people for the pursuit of truth. For 800 years, the Dominicans have practiced what's called disputatio. Now, when you hear the word disputatio, it sounds like dispute, right? And you think about an argument. And we certainly are aware of what arguments sound like these days. But if you pay attention to what disputatio means, it actually means a coming together of people who, through deep study, will engage in dialogue, recognizing that none of us, of ourselves, possesses the truth, that each one of us has something to bring to the table, and that if we prepare ourselves well, we can enter into a dialogue. We can be genuine partners, equals, in a dialogue that will lead us to the disclosure of truth. That disclosure is something that doesn't happen once. It's not a final product. You don't have truth where you just hold it in your hand. Each one of us recognizes that we're fallible, that we're mortal. And because we're mortal, we of ourselves, none of us possess the truth. But by coming together and challenging one another in that spirit of common growth and common development, it's possible to gain insight into the truth and to continually grow in wisdom. That spirit is what's led Albertus through the years. It's what's enabled Albertus to continually renew itself, to continually change, evolve, and grow. It's what enabled Albertus to take the bold step in 1985 of becoming coeducational. And around the same time, and over the following years, to develop programs for people for whom education was not necessarily accessible. Working professionals, working adults, people who, for family and other obligations, thought that higher education was beyond their reach. And so the college established the accelerated degree and the New Dimensions programs to serve people. And in addition, to expand that sense of a quest for knowledge, to deepen that awareness, the college began graduate programs, the Master of Arts in Liberal Studies program. Since that time, the college has continued to evolve in the way that it challenges people to the pursuit of truth. It's developed 11 graduate programs, and it has continued to prioritize accessibility by the development of blended and online programs. As the college has grown and evolved over time, as its student body has grown, the college has extended both its resources and the opportunities that it attempts to provide to students. And it's done that in particular by creating co-curricular programs. One of the most important things that Albertus recognizes is that while the classroom is, in a way, a sacred space, knowledge and wisdom and learning doesn't just reside in the classroom. It has to extend itself out into the world. And so, true to the dictum in sana in corpore sano, the college established athletic programs. It now has, I believe, it's 16 athletic programs, and it's built facilities to support those programs. A great athletic facility, and most recently, you can see one of them over there, turf fields for soccer and lacrosse and for softball. I hear someone saying it's Falcons out there, right? Okay. But, you know, even more importantly, the college has extended educational opportunities for students. I think the Falcon's beating me out here. So, you know, through service learning, through student-faculty collaborative research, through internships and practica. Today, 90% of our students participate in an internship or a practicum experience. So where are we today? Albertus Magnus College consists of 1,500 undergraduate and graduate students. We are a vibrant community that is rooted in its Dominican heritage, that is deeply committed to and true to its liberal arts tradition, and that is also committed to its mission of extending accessibility to education to others. We are at this point at a sort of, you know, transition, correct? A new day that is starting today. But it's a day that builds on its history, on its tradition, and it is a day where, in installing our new president, President Marc, we are confident that through his leadership and what we've seen over the past year of his leadership, that he will guide us and lead us so that we will continue to be our best selves into the future, and that we will realize that we will embody the vision of our founders, our mothers. So at this time, we would like to begin the installation ceremony by asking Sister Maureen O'Brien from the Dominican Order of Preachers to come forward and to offer the opening prayer. Please stand. At the conclusion of the invocation, please remain standing for the national anthem, which will be performed by the Albertus Magnus College Chorus and Colonial Brass.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, with grateful and loving hearts, we acknowledge your presence among us on this day when we gather for the inauguration of our new president, Dr. Marc M. Camille. We are grateful for his commitment to the mission of Albertus Magnus College, to search for truth in all its dimensions. This mission, which has been passed on to us by the Dominican Sisters of Peace, who founded this college in 1925, still guides Albertus Magnus today. We pray for and ask you, Heavenly Father, to bless Dr. Camille as he leads the Albertus community in continuing to embrace and live out the principles of a Dominican and Catholic education here at Albertus. Those principles, a quality liberal arts education that acknowledges the whole person, mind, body, and spirit. A community of diverse individuals who work together and respect one another. A community committed to social justice. A community where God's presence is recognized in and among all. And a community dedicated to create a future grounded in the Catholic Dominican tradition. Grant Dr. Camille the wisdom to serve with an open and courageous heart, the ability to look to the future, yet never forget the past, to love deeply and act justly, to reverence the gifts of all who serve with him, and to lead the Albertus community fearlessly, yet gently. We ask for your continued blessing on the Albertus community and its new president, Dr. Camille, as they strive to develop and support the growth of its members intellectually, spiritually, and socially. Be ever at their side, Heavenly Father, as they together and with your help try to provide a strong ethical and learning environment in which the students are prepared to meet the challenges of a world that longs for justice and peace. Amen.
Amen.
Whose broad stripes
You may now be seated. I would now like to ask Ms. Jean Dennison from the class of 1978 to come forward and offer greetings on behalf of the board. Jean is the president of the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Dr. O'Connell. It is a good afternoon, isn't it? And it is a pleasure to welcome Archbishop Blair, members of the Board of Trustees, Sister Patricia Toohill, and members of the Dominican Sisters of Peace, our distinguished guest, elected officials, my fellow alumni, esteemed faculty, administration, staff, students, parents, neighbors, and friends of the college. It is my great honor, indeed my joy, to bring greetings and to welcome you to this special day where we witness and celebrate the installation of Dr. Marc M. Camille as the 14th president of Albertus Magnus College. Your presence here today is a testament to the place that Albertus holds in this endeavor of higher education and in the greater New Haven community. As many of us know, the sun always seems to be shining here on the steps of Rosary Hall, this architectural gem that has served as the first classroom, dormitory, library, chapel, and dining room for the newly founded Albertus Magnus College in 1925. How far we have come, and what a privilege we share today. For this day presents an occasion to reflect on our history, to offer our prayers and our support for Dr. Camille, and to envision collectively our aspirations for this community of higher learning. Since its founding, 13 presidents, along with our sponsoring congregation, and many distinguished educators and talented administrators have served Albertus. They built a community that for 93 years has educated first women, and for the past 33 years, women and men who live the spirit of the Dominican motto, contemplare et contemplare aliis tradere, to give to others the fruits of one's contemplation. This founding spirit was very much alive in 1925, very much alive in my years here in the 70s, and is alive today in 2018. From Mother Stephanie Moen, our foundress, who had the vision, the courage, and the faith to establish the first Catholic liberal arts residential college for women in New England, to Dr. Julia M. McNamara, President Emerita, who led us through the transition to co-education, introduced innovative academic programs with access for adult learners, and transformed our beautiful campus with new buildings and sports facilities. Dr. McNamara's leadership and dedication to Albertus and our mission is a legacy that continues to inspire not only Dr. Camille, but the entire Albertus community. We can all appreciate that the inauguration of a new president is indeed a momentous occasion, for it represents a new beginning. While we look to the past and affirm the legacies of those who came before, we are also emboldened by the unknown possibilities as we reflect on a shared vision for the future, a future where we fulfill our liberal arts tradition and attest to our Catholic identity and Dominican heritage, grounded on the pillars of study, prayer, community, and service. Today, you will hear from our guests and members of the college. Their greetings and messages confirm our faith in Dr. Camille as he guides us forward in the service of our students and assumes the responsibilities for the well-being of our academic community. Thank you all. Thank you for welcoming our new president as we commit to his care, the leadership of the college. And thank you for being present to share our pride in Albertus Magnus College. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dennison. You know, your leadership as chairman of the Board of Trustees, and in particular, your leadership in the Presidential Search Committee, is such a sign of the type of service that Albertus Magnus College seeks to instill in all of its graduates. So you are a great example, and we appreciate it. Please join me now in welcoming Sister Patricia Tuhill, Prioress for the Dominican Sisters of Peace, to offer greetings on behalf of the order.
Thank you, Dr. O'Connell. President Marc, Camille, it is with deep joy that I bring congratulatory greetings to you from the Dominican Sisters of Peace, Sisters and Associates in Mission. On this auspicious occasion, I give thanks to God for calling you to serve as president of Albertus Magnus College and for giving you the grace to accept this call. As president, you are commissioned today to promote the college's Catholic and Dominican identity, leading this time-honored institution into the future with new vision, while treasuring the abiding values of our church and the order of preachers. Faithful to this heritage, you commit yourselves to the values symbolized by the Dominican shield and cross found on the college's seal. This legacy reminds us that truth overcomes ignorance, and that the search for this truth leads to joy. Following the example of St. Albert the Great, himself a student, teacher, and leader, you will work to provide Albertus students with an education that promotes this search in all of its dimensions and which is practical in its application. In union with the whole church, as president of the college, may you be a beacon of Christ's light, so that by your words and actions, you will help others to seek and to find perfect wisdom, which gently draws the human mind to love what is good and true. May the policies you set ensure that this institution, founded in 1925, will be effective far into the future, providing opportunities for learning which respond to the academic needs and ethical challenges of successive generations. While there may be times when your responsibilities seem burdensome, be assured that you will not be alone in carrying them out. Please strongly rely upon the support and the strength of the prayers of your Dominican Sisters of Peace.
Thank you, Sister Patricia. The Dominican Order's constant, unstinting support for our educational vision, the Order's moral compass, and the material support that the Order has provided through the years to the college has helped us to move forward in serving our students and the educational aspirations of our adult learners, as well as the enlightened well-being of our society as a whole. So thank you, Sister Patricia, and thank you to the Order. At this time, it is our great pleasure and privilege to welcome someone who, while not a Dominican, had the good sense to attend a Dominican institution, the Angelicum, the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas, and someone who in his life actually has lived that motto of contemplare contemplata alias tradere. He has served on numerous faculties, and at present, we are most happy that he is serving as the Archbishop of the Diocese of Hartford, His Excellency, the Reverend Leonard P. Blair.
I don't often dress like this, so you know this is a very momentous occasion indeed. And if the right wind gust comes up, I might be sailing away from you, but I hope not. On behalf of the Archdiocese of Hartford and its over 500,000 members, and the clergy and religious who serve them in New Haven, Litchfield, and Hartford counties, I'm very happy to congratulate you, Dr. Camille, on your inauguration day as the 14th president of Albertus Magnus College. According to its mission statement, Albertus Magnus provides men and women with an education that promotes the search for truth in all of its dimensions and is practical in its application. And it does so in the great tradition, as we've heard, of the Order of St. Dominic, characterized by a commitment to truth as a virtue and as a passion, by study and contemplation, by seeing God in all things and seeing all things in God, by compassion and justice for those in ignorance and suffering, and by scholarship that is engaged with the social and scientific questions of our time. Given this mission and commitment, the college is aptly named for St. Albert the Great, whom Pope Pius XII called the Doctor Universalis because of the vastness of his interests and knowledge. Albert contributed greatly to the development in the 13th century of the distinction and complementarity between two great branches of knowledge, philosophy and theology. Much more recently, our former Holy Father, Pope Benedict XVI, had this to say about what was clarified by St. Albert's rigorous study of Aristotle. The Holy Father says, "In conversing with each other, philosophy and theology cooperate harmoniously in the discovery of the authentic vocation of man, thirsting for truth and happiness. And it is above all theology that St. Albert defined as emotional knowledge, inasmuch as it engages the deepest longings of the human heart. Emotional knowledge, which points out to human beings their vocation to eternal joy, a joy that flows from full adherence to the truth." Catholic universities and colleges are meant to provide an academically excellent education in the context of the Catholic faith and in the environment of Catholic life. Certainly that is why Albertus Magnus was founded by the Dominican Sisters of Peace, in keeping with a long tradition of academic life fostered by the Catholic Church and modeled so brilliantly by St. Albert. A Catholic college or university always has an evangelizing mission, but one that does not impose, but rather proposes the truth about God, about the human person, and about the world in light of reason and divine revelation. In the words of Pope Benedict, far from undermining the tolerance of legitimate diversity, such a contribution illuminates the very truth which makes consensus possible and helps to keep public debate rational, certainly something we need today, to keep it rational, honest, and accountable. Similarly, the Church never tires of upholding the essential moral categories of right and wrong, without which hope could only wither, giving way to cold, pragmatic calculations of utility, which render the person little more than a pawn on some ideological chessboard. Amid the many challenges of our day, I am confident, Dr. Camille, that under your leadership, Albertus Magnus will make a significant contribution to the long tradition and perennial goals of Catholic higher education in the footsteps of its patron, St. Albert the Great, and will do so ex corde ecclesiae, from the heart of the Church. May God bless your efforts, and I join all those devoted to this college in pledging my support and my prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Archbishop Blair, for agreeing to join us on this special day. At this time, we would like to continue our celebration with a performance of Jacques Brel's "If We Only Have Love" by the Albertus Magnus Chorus. Thank you. It is now our pleasure to welcome a former faculty member of Albertus Magnus College, who currently serves as our state representative for the 3rd District of the state of Connecticut, Representative Rosa DeLauro. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. O'Connell. I just have to say, in looking around and feeling the sun on all of us, that this is a day that God has made. What an honor to be here to celebrate President Dr. Marc Camille's installation and inauguration. He, Dr. O'Connell, and all of the faculty and staff at Albertus Magnus College are dedicated to the advancement of students and of knowledge. It is a vital pursuit, and I applaud you. I love being back on the Albertus campus, and it is true. I taught at Albertus Magnus College before I joined the Congress. I finished my master's degree at Columbia, and I wanted to teach, and I applied to teach at Albertus, and at the time the slots were filled. So I went and got a job with the Community Action Agency, Community Progress Incorporated, in the War on Poverty all those years ago. And lo and behold, in September, Dr. Larry DeNardis called me and told me that one of his teachers had dropped out, and would I agree to teach a course, one course, on international politics? And I said yes. And I did that 3 days a week on my lunch hour. And I didn't drive at the time, so I had to get from Howard Avenue to the campus, so it forced me to learn how to drive and to be here. And I loved my time teaching here at Albertus. However, in the office next to me, Dr. McNamara will remember this. I think it was the Dean of Students. Her office was next to my classroom. And I think she was chagrined every other day when I was here because of my short skirts. And they were very short. But I was so honored to teach here because I fully believe in the mission of Albertus Magnus College. And I quote, "To provide men and women with an education that promotes the search for truth in all of its dimensions and is practical in its application." It is a mission I know that President Camille takes seriously. As he has said, this college education has never been as needed and as relevant as it is today. I agree, especially when, according to the Pew Research Center, fewer than 2 in Americans have, quote, "a lot of confidence in the news as a source of truth." And now more than ever, a fight for truth is vital. And now more than ever, a college degree is vital. It is fast becoming the only ticket to financial security. And it is why Mayor Tony Harp and State Senator Gary Winfield and I all prioritize education. So I applaud Dr. Camille for his commitment to welcome more students of diverse cultural and economic backgrounds to the campus. And in that regard, let me quote President John F. Kennedy. "Let us think of education as a means of developing our greatest abilities, because in each of us there is a private hope and a dream fulfilled, and it can be translated into benefit for everyone and greater strength for our nation." Dr. Camille did so in this effort of a diversified campus at his previous posts. He will continue to do so at Albertus with a new fund to assist enrolled students who fall into financial hardship. It is leadership that should be reflected across the country, especially when access to the benefits of a college education remains staggeringly unequal. Students from low-income backgrounds are 8 times less likely to obtain a bachelor's degree by age 24 than those who come from a high-income background. The ivory tower cannot be an impenetrable fortress. And finally, there is a vital link between higher education and our nation's ability to solve the most pressing problems in our communities. Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." I am reminded of the refrain from the Dominican blessing that we heard today, and I quote, "God, give us minds to know your will and hands to work for justice." Hands to work for justice. That is what a liberal arts education is all about. And under President Camille's leadership, that is what Albertus Magnus will continue to be about. My sincerest congratulations to you, President Camille, and I pledge to you to work with you to make sure that you have the federal government as a willing partner and providing the resources that you need that allows those who come through these doors to be able to realize their dreams and their aspirations. I look forward to working with you in the coming years to help you serve your students and to help your students serve others. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this beautiful celebration today.
Please join me now in welcoming our neighbor from the 10th District, State Senator Gary Winfield.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I have to tell you, you may have noticed I walked up here, I didn't have notes. You know, when the Senate finishes at 4:30 in the morning, sometimes you forget things on your way to the ceremony. But I point that out for a reason. Normally, if that had occurred, I might not actually make it today. I would have my office send a regretful notice and apologize profusely. But I'm here today, and anybody who happens to know me might know that I happen to be a skeptical truth teller. So why is this skeptical truth teller here today? As we walked over here, I pointed out to Mayor Harp that it was getting sunnier and sunnier as we got towards the platform. I believe that there are signs if you care to look. So I'm very concerned about what happens on our institutions of higher education. I'm also concerned about what happens in our community and the nexus between the two. The reason that I'm here today is because I firmly believe that the president, Marc, Camille, is what this university needs. A couple of months ago, I had the pleasure of coming to the university for a Black History Month event. And at that event, there was conversation that might be uncomfortable for some, and that talked about the relationship between this university and the community. And it's particularly important to me, given that I live just a couple of blocks down the way, what the relationship between any university and the community in which it sits is. And that conversation even took notice of the fact that there are walls that surround this institution. And what I remarked, what was notable to me rather, was that the response to the criticism wasn't the type of response you might expect. The response to the criticism was thoughtful, and it was to say we should think about those things so that at some point people who surround this institution don't see those as barriers but just part of the aesthetic. I think that's important. I think it's important that the president had that had allowed for that Black History Month event and actually came by the Black History Month event that hadn't happened in the past. And so I'm here today because I believe in this president. I don't know him well, but you know, your actions tell us who you are and what you're going to be as the president of this university. And if we're going to have a pursuit of truth within the university, it might be important to have the university open to those who can offer criticism so that there is a deeper pursuit of truth. So I want to thank you for having me here today. And it is just so important to have a president like President Marc Camille. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Winfield. You know, your leadership in education reform is well known, and it's truly a privilege to have you here with us today. As we continue our celebration, we now will have a reading by a senior faculty member and chair of the Department of English, Professor Paul Robichaud, a prolific author of peer-reviewed articles of literary criticism and a groundbreaking book on the poet David Jones entitled Making the Past Present, David Jones, the Middle Ages, and Modernism. Professor Robichaud is also a published poet in his own right, one whose works have enriched the lives of this college community. Professor Robichaud will share with us his poem, A Vision for Albert, which he composed specifically for this occasion.
Thank you very much. This is called A Vision for Albert. May these lawns and bricks and steel and glass, for 9 decades home to contemplation, be a place to recall this moment of renewal, and also to recall those strong women, our founders, women dedicated to God and to preaching the truth, who built this college with stone that cannot be broken. And the generations of young women, undaunted, who studied here with discipline and great labor before bearing the candle of knowledge to the world. And the men and women who followed, many of whom have carried a great burden on their journey, whose determination to learn has seen them through. And those who teach, ever seeking to inspire, seeking to light the flame of understanding in the minds of all those who seek to learn. And those who lead us, whose responsibility is to preserve what has been entrusted to them, and to let our light shine forth in the world. And this day of celebration, when we welcome a new leader on our journey, in the spirit of Albert, himself a wanderer down many roads. And for Albert, in legend said to have found the stone that can change all metals to gold, let us remember our work of transformation. A student sits by a window. A shaft of light shines on the printed page. The words ignite a sudden flash of insight in her mind and heart that she carries with her into the wider world, approaching others with a deeper compassion and shaping that world into something brighter. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I can think of no better vision for the future of Albertus, built as it is on our past. I'd like now, it's my great honor now, to welcome someone who is no stranger to the college, in fact, a former honorary degree recipient, our mayor, Mayor Tony Harp of the city of New Haven.
Thank you very much, Dr. O'Connell. Good afternoon, esteemed members of the Board of Trustees. To your founders, the Dominican Sisters of Peace, I just want to say that if it were not for your vision, women in this country would be in a far different place. So thank you for having that vision on behalf of women. To the administrators, faculty, staff, alumni, students of Albertus Magnus College, and especially to Dr. Camille. It is a great honor to be among all of you today for this very festive ceremony. I want to thank you for including me, and by extension, the entire city of New Haven in these proceedings. On behalf of the city, its residents, business leaders, historic institutions, and government, I congratulate Albertus Magnus College for its successful leadership transition and on its choice for Dr. Camille as its next president. New Haven's proud history is built upon freedom. It was religious freedom from the outset. Literal freedom for the Amistad mutineers when New Haven emerged as the birthplace of the abolitionist movement. And throughout history, New Haven has encouraged freedom of thought and ideas as the center for excellence in education. As mayor, I'm so proud to embrace the presence of Albertus Magnus College in New Haven, enhancing the city's legacy as a place where knowledge and wisdom historically trump what's popular, trendy, and fleeting. More personally, I was delighted to accept your invitation to attend and participate in this celebration today to underscore the partnership New Haven is so pleased to share with this academic community. Dr. Camille, your early initiative to advance that partnership through participation in an innovative local scholarship program, through a creative shared sports and recreation agreement, and as a part of our recent diplomatic and business development delegation to China, tells me all I need to know about the direction that our partnership is bound to take going forward. Today, I congratulate you on your inauguration. I congratulate the entire Albertus Magnus College community on its wisdom and foresight embodied in you. And I look forward to the years ahead, knowing the time-honored tradition of excellence in education will be nurtured on this campus and endure among all who work, study, and learn here. Congratulations again, and thank you so much for the invitation.
Mayor Harp, we recognize that partnerships only work when both partners are fully invested, and we are most gratified that your administration has been so open in partnering with us, so we greatly appreciate it. At this time, I would like to ask Dr. John J. Patillo, President of Sacred Heart University, to come forward to offer greetings on behalf of Connecticut Conference of Independent Colleges.
Today, with the inauguration of Marc Camille as your president, you once again reaffirm your commitment to the spirit of Albertus Magnus himself. He was a friar of great intellect who understood the greatness of inquiry and the philosophical underpinnings of Christianity. Intellectual pursuit was integral to prayer and community. For him, friendship rooted in Aristotle's concept was integral throughout his life, and so it is appropriate that this college bears the name and traditions of study, prayer, community, and service. So in the name of the Connecticut Conference of Independent Colleges, I welcome gladly and proudly Marc Camille. May your tenure at the college continue to strengthen the rich and vital traditions and the values of Albertus Magnus himself. May your leadership be fruitful in pursuit of knowledge, community, and service, always guided by prayer. Congratulations, Marc.
Thank you, President Patillo. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce a president of not one, but two colleges, Gateway and Housatonic Community Colleges, President Paul Brody.
Good afternoon. What an exciting and meaningful day as we celebrate the installation of Dr. Marc Camille. On behalf of the Connecticut State Colleges and Universities, I bring you greetings and words of congratulations from our 17 institutions and our 90,000 students, some of which will become Albertus students as a result of your strong articulation agreements with our community colleges. Albertus, well done. Well done in selecting Dr. Marc Camille as your 14th president. You have made a fine choice. He is truly a fearless falcon. He embodies the 4 Dominican pillars: study, prayer, community, and service. So from my first encounter with Dr. Marc Camille, I was impressed. He had only been in the presidency for a few weeks, and he was the buzz of the community. Everyone I encountered would ask, "Have you met the new president?" And when I would reply no, the answer was always the same. You have to go meet him. He's a great guy, and he will do great things. The comments also tended to include words like smart, energetic, engaging, innovative, and collaborative. I didn't have to wait long to meet the new president. He set up a visit to Gateway so that he could speak with me and so that he can get to know our institution. Not only that, this new president had already met our CSCU president, Dr. Marc Ojakian, and Dr. Bertolino, the president of Southern Connecticut State University, and his focus was to explore innovative partnerships and to get to know the system. Turns out this flying falcon lives and breathes the Dominican pillar of community. It turns out that your new president has set out to ensure that Albertus is part of the fabric of the community. He always puts Albertus first, and every conversation starts and ends with Albertus. Equipped with an impressive background filled with a track record of accomplishments, and coupled with being a staunch advocate and champion for education, Dr. Camille has demonstrated a clear vision, unwavering support for faculty and staff, and a commitment to expose as many individuals as possible to the exceptional educational experience that is found here at Albertus. Entrepreneur Jim Rowan outlined the qualities of a skilled leader. He stated that a skilled leader must be strong but not rude, be kind but not weak, be bold but not lazy, be humble but not timid, be proud but not arrogant, and have humor without folly. Albertus, it is obvious that by selecting Dr. Marc Camille as your 14th president, you have selected someone with the qualities of a skilled leader. In closing, I bring you remarks from President Ojakian. President Ojakian sends the following message, and I quote, congrats. There's more. Congrats. I know after meeting with Marc, he's going to move Albertus forward and be a tremendous asset for the region and the entire state. He is clearly inspired and passionate about his work and his role, and it shows. On behalf of the CSCU, I want to congratulate Marc on his new role. Marc, I know we will continue to find ways to partner, and I expect to see your institution grow and prosper under your guidance and leadership, end quote. President Levinson, President Bertolino, and President Rook, could you stand for a second? Marc, it is truly an honor for us to call you a colleague. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Brody. Albertus is fortunate enough to have many alumni and alumni from Gateway and Housatonic community colleges, and they always come to us not only academically prepared, but committed and with a good understanding of what it means to pursue higher education. So we are most grateful for the partnerships that we've had with your institutions. Please join me now in welcoming Sister Mary Eileen O'Brien of the Dominican Order of Peace and President of Dominican College in Orangeburg, New York, to offer greetings.
For over 8 centuries, the charism of Dominic Guzman has been a source of light and fire for those exposed to its influence. It has provided the inspiration for the founding of 18 post-secondary institutions in the United States, 3 houses of study, and 15 colleges and universities. I am honored to bring good wishes from your colleagues across the country. Our founder, Dominic Guzman, was a 13th century Spaniard, described as free, spontaneous, and joyful, who pursued truth so that people might flourish. His orientation and that of his followers was holistic. Dualistic attitudes had caused havoc in his day as they do today, and they were to be replaced by both and perspectives. The good and the true were to be recognized wherever they were found. A former Dominican Master General, Timothy Radcliffe, has written, all the disciplines, literature, poetry, history, philosophy, sociology, physics, etc., that try to make sense of our world are allies in our search for God. Albert the Great, theologian, philosopher, and natural scientist, exemplifies this broad, inclusive orientation. The Dominican charism had been mentioned based on the 4 pillars of prayer, community, study, and service. How meaningful it is that Albertus Magnus has organized these days of celebration around these themes. The commitment to study is a distinctive Dominican one, composed of intellectual, communal, and reflective components. Our faculties pursue truth in a manner that seeks reflective understanding, which leads to compassionate involvement. Founded by the Dominican Sisters of Peace, Albertus Magnus has been true to its mission of providing opportunities of learning to meet the academic and ethical needs of its students. As the college installs its 14th president, Marc, we, your fellow Dominican presidents, assure you of friendship and support. Like Dominic, our common founder, may you continue to be a compassionate and joyful leader, dedicated to seeking and sharing truth. May you continue that wonderful tradition in the Albertus Magnus community of a deep sense of being all they can be and having a deep reverence for people and our earth. May your tenure be a blessing for you and all associated with this wonderful institution. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Mary Eileen. At this time, Sister Mary Catherine Hilkert will speak on holy curiosity, pursuing truth, and embracing wisdom. Dr. Hilkert is a member of the Dominican Sisters of Peace and professor of theology at the University of Notre Dame, where she has taught at the undergraduate and graduate levels since 1995. She is the author of Naming Grace, Preaching, and the Sacramental Imagination, Speaking with Authority, Catherine of Siena and the Voices of Women Today, The Praxis in the Reign of God, an introduction to the theology of Edward Schillebeeckx, and numerous articles on theology, preaching, and spirituality. A former president of the Catholic Theological Society of America, Dr. Hilkert earned her PhD from the Catholic University of America and has received honorary degrees from Providence College and the Aquinas Institute of Theology. She was the first recipient of the Washington Theological Union's Sophia Award for the Theological Excellence in Service of Ministry and received Barry University's Eve Congar Award for Theological Excellence in 2011. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Hilkert.
Thank you, Dr. O'Connell. Archbishop Blair, President Marc, Camille, distinguished members of the Platform Party, honored guests, and faculty, students, staff, alumni, benefactors, and friends of Albertus Magnus College. It is a great joy to join you in celebrating a new moment in the living tradition of Albertus Magnus College as Dr. Marc Camille is officially inaugurated as 14th president of the college. With Sister Patricia Toohill and our Dominican Sisters of Peace and Associates, I join the faculty, student body, professional colleagues, family, and friends of Dr. Camille in welcoming and pledging our support to a man who, from all reports, shares a gift for which Albert the Great, patron and inspiration of the college, was known: holy curiosity. According to the great medieval scholar and theologian, Dominican Marie Dominique Chenu, holy curiosity was the natural gift, the basic human impulse, which impelled Albert in his own pursuit of truth, both speculative and practical. Chenu described Albert as possessing a revolutionary intellectualism and says he was rightly named universal doctor because he was ready to embrace the whole of reality. Nothing escaped his interest or notice. This college was founded then in the spirit of a scholar who made openness to and interest in all of reality a virtue. He made curiosity holy. Albert's revolutionary intellectualism included an insatiable appetite for knowledge, a courageous openness of mind that gave rise to that spirit of curiosity. Chenu says its impatience, its impetuosity, and its restlessness. I don't know how much Dr. Camille knew about Albert the Great before coming to the college, but in letters, talks, interviews, blogs, and tweets during his first year as president, He has already identified openness to truth in the many ways it is pursued here as one of the things that drew him to Albertus. One of the first things he says to anyone who asks why he was interested in assuming the leadership of a liberal arts-based Catholic college in the Dominican intellectual tradition in an era when the value of that kind of education is questioned by many, is quite simply because he believes in it. He himself has experienced the difference that a values-based education can make in any field and profession, and more importantly, in life. It is a vision that he shares and which he pledges to support and develop as president of the college. Doing so in the current academic and financial climate will require not only holy curiosity, but also courage, creativity, perseverance, and the kind of boldness that apparently is a mark of the fearless Falcons. Holy curiosity was at the root of Albert's own fascination with mineralogy, geography, physics, chemistry, mathematics, optics, astronomy, anatomy, medicine, alchemy, cosmography, meteorology, botany, animal life, philosophy, and the arts, among other things, such as philosophy and theology. In that same spirit, Albertus rightly celebrates its recent National Science Foundation grant to foster scholarship in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and opened this 4-day inauguration with an academic symposium and a student-curated art exhibit. Even those who don't share Albert's conviction and that of the Catholic intellectual tradition, that every insight into truth, wherever it can be found, is a reflection of the creator of the universe, can nevertheless be partners and collaborators in the project of a liberal arts education which promotes respect for human dignity and concern to educate the whole person, commitment to the common good, and an awareness of our interrelationship with all of creation. Take the recently deceased, brilliant, and courageous physicist Stephen Hawking, for example. He once described human beings as an advanced breed of monkeys on a minor planet of a very average star. But he nevertheless marveled at the ability of the human mind, musing, we can understand the universe. That makes us something very special. Another brilliant scientist, Albert Einstein, likewise celebrated that gift and the importance of cultivating it. In his words, the search for truth is not about the mere acquisition of knowledge or data or skills. Rather, the value of a college education is not the learning of many facts, but the training of the mind to think. Treasuring that kind of holy curiosity into all of reality was at the heart of Albert's intellectual vision, which continues to mark the goals of this college. At the same time, the college also celebrates its Dominican tradition and its commitment to the Catholic intellectual tradition, which believes that faith does not restrict, but rather expands the reach of human reason, that truth is to be treasured wherever it is to be found, and that it is ultimately love, divine love, that moves the sun and the stars. For Albert, the book of nature had its own integrity and beauty, and at the same time, its marvels spoke to him of the glory and creativity of God and of God's own love of diversity and beauty. It led Albert to stand in awe and sing the praises of the creator of the universe. Echoing the psalmist, Albert once wrote, "The whole world is theology for us because the heavens declare the glory of God." Albert was, in the deepest sense, a contemplative because he knew how to pay attention to every aspect of God's creation and to search for the mystery of life that each creature and the earth itself reveals. No wonder this college claims the Dominican motto as its own, to contemplate and to share with others the fruits of our contemplation. The French philosopher, mystic, and social activist Simone Weil has proposed that the key connection between school studies and the love of God is that every form of study helps to develop the ability to pay attention. Weil had a Dominican friend and mentor as a spiritual advisor and found great wisdom in that tradition, especially in the writings of Albert's famous student, Thomas Aquinas, but she never became a Christian. She nevertheless shared the Dominican, Christian, and also Jewish sensibility that study itself is a spiritual practice. She had a keen grasp of the connection between study and contemplation, between the search for truth and the search for God. In her essay, Reflections on the Right Use of School Studies with a View to the Love of God, she writes, "The key to a Christian conception of studies is the realization that prayer consists of attention toward God." Weil was not talking solely or even specifically about the study of theology or religion or even philosophy. Rather, the ability to pay attention, she insisted, is developed in school studies of any kind. Take geometry, Weil says. It doesn't really matter whether we succeed in finding the solution or understanding the proof, because never, in any case, whatever, is a genuine effort of attention wasted. Without our knowing it or feeling it, that apparently barren effort has brought more light to the soul. She goes so far as to say that in that sense, every school exercise is like a sacrament. Our hope and prayer for you, President Camille, is that your own spirit of holy curiosity and openness to the truth wherever it is to be found will deepen and expand during your years at Albertus Magnus. Under your leadership, may the college continue to be marked by that spirit of seeking and treasuring the truth for which it has long been known and respected, in no small part because of the capable and visionary leadership of your predecessor, Dr. Julia McNamara. Albert the Great spent 15 years of his life pursuing speculative wisdom and writing commentaries on the works of Aristotle, who was considered suspect by some church authorities of his day. But he remained steadfast and confident that so-called pagan wisdom and divine revelation were both aspects of the Creator sharing God's own wisdom and love with us. At the same time, Albert was well aware that wisdom is also needed in the practical pursuits of human life and in the organization of political life for the common good. In the Dominican order, he was called to exercise his considerable administrative skills, as well as what we might call social intelligence, as prior and provincial. Those same gifts were subsequently recognized by the larger church, as he was called to serve as a papal legate and briefly as a bishop of Regensburg. One of his charges was that of straightening out the finances of the diocese, a task he apparently achieved within a year, or perhaps 2. I have to check with Father Linane on that. His social and political challenges were even more daunting. He had a distinct gift for peacemaking, which was widely recognized. He was called on not once, but 3 times to serve as reconciler in bloody conflicts between the Prince Bishop of Cologne and its free citizens. Near the end of his life, he traveled to the Council of Lyon to beg the Pope to revoke the papal interdict under which the people of Cologne had lived and suffered for 7 years. Hence, it's no surprise that Albertus Magnus College is likewise known for its commitment to the search for truth that is practical in application, and its dedication to providing an opportunity for learning that responds not only to the academic needs, but also to the ethical challenges of its students and society. In that vein, President Camille spoke of another one of his convictions about your students and their commitments when he wrote, "Albertus graduates will bring competence and conscience to be change agents wherever they go." The combination of competence and conscience is essential to be a genuine change agent. Neither alone will suffice. That same insight was echoed in a newsletter sent out by Notre Dame's College of Business Administration's Center for Ethical Leadership. I had that newsletter and noticed Warren Buffett featured on the cover. Here's his recommendation in looking for people to hire. You look for 3 things: integrity, intelligence, and energy. If you don't have the first, the other 2 will kill you. This is not 12th century Germany. We live in the 21st century global village. The challenges facing the students at Albertus and all of us are immense. The college has committed itself to recruiting and remaining a diverse student body in terms of race, ethnicity, gender, religion, culture, socioeconomic class, geography, and intergenerational student population, and your long-standing commitment to welcome those who are the first generation in their families to earn a college degree. You do this at a time when national leaders are calling for walls, dreamers and their families are being deported, racial tensions and white supremacy are on the rise, civil discourse is at an all-time low, and financial support for private and Catholic colleges is being cut back or in some cases eliminated. No one has all the answers to these kind of complex social issues which face all of us. This is not only a new moment for Dr. Camille, but for the whole community that makes up Albertus Magnus College. None of us knows what the future will hold, personally or institutionally, whether in the church or in the larger world. While we can't know what it is we will face, a genuine education prepares us for how to be open to respond to those unknown challenges. Again, Simone Weil points to a non-negotiable if we are to navigate these troubled waters. In the same essay which I cited earlier, she remarks, that very same attention to God, cultivated through attention to studies, especially when we find them difficult, also develops a genuine love of neighbor. It develops the capacity of giving our attention to other people, especially those who suffer. She does not say this lightly. In fact, Weil emphasizes the capacity to give one's attention to a sufferer is a rare and a difficult thing. It's almost a miracle. In fact, it is a miracle, she writes. Nearly all those who think they have this capacity do not possess it. Warmth of heart, impulsiveness, pity are not enough. The love of neighbor in all its fullness simply means being able to say to him or her, "What are you going through?" The soul empties itself of all of its contents in order to receive into itself the being it is looking at as they are in all their truth. Only one capable of attention can do this. Practical wisdom, doing the truth, deciding justly, is only possible when we first enter into relationship with one another. Harvard Medical School's Dr. Paul Farmer, for example, credits his friendship with our Dominican brother, Father Gustavo Gutierrez, widely known as the father of Latin American liberation theology, with the inspiration for his work in co-founding the Partners in Health initiative, which began in Haiti and continues to expand through its efforts to provide basic health care in rural and under-resourced areas. Dr. Farmer's decision to dedicate his research at Harvard and his career in healthcare to focusing on a preferential option for the poor reminds us that whatever our field of study, education is not just job training, nor is it restricted to classroom or campus. It's clear that many Albertus students and faculty members already know this from experience, such as your alternate spring break trips to Appalachia, the service learning experiences in Jamaica, the collaboration with Habitat for Humanity, tomorrow's day of service as integral to this inauguration event, and the conversations which the Student Justice League engages in. At their best, those kinds of experiences provide opportunities for mutual friendships to develop. Those kinds of friendships and conversations call us to critical reflection on the signs of our times in light of the gospel and in dialogue with other faith traditions, searching together to find concrete ways to make a difference in our world. In all of this, Father Gutierrez reminds us that mutual learning happens, since the lives of those who are poor and marginalized also reveal to us, in his words, human depth and a toughness that promises life. Our second hope and prayer for you, President Camille, and for the college, is that you and all who are associated with Albertus Magnus will be known for paying attention to people, to their joys and their hopes, but also, as Vatican II and Catholic social teaching exhort us, to their griefs and their anxieties. These are shared challenges and hopes for Dr. Camille and the entire college community. But this is also the day when we mark the unique role and responsibility that you bear as president of the college, Dr. Camille. There is a particular kind of practical wisdom that's needed by effective leaders and administrators. Skills such as knowing how to balance the budget, that gift of Albert's, or at least to hire wisely those who can help you to do that. At its heart, however, leadership involves not only embracing the vision and values of the college and the Catholic tradition and the Dominican pillars on which it stands, but also being able to motivate others to embrace that mission as well. It involves not only your own passion for truth, search for wisdom, commitment to values, and holy curiosity, but also being able to recognize and foster those same gifts in others whose contributions to the college will differ from your own. In that sense, it requires that you pay special attention to the goals, ideals, and long-term planning of the college, of course, but also to the concerns and gifts of those you serve and with whom you collaborate. Another leader from the Dominican tradition, who's also revered by the college and the community who sponsors it, and whose feast we celebrated this week, is Catherine of Siena. She, too, was a woman of many gifts, including the gift of wisdom, for which she was recognized when she was named Doctor of the Church. Yet, in her dialogue with divine providence, she pondered why no one person has all of the many gifts necessary for human life, and we might add, for leadership of any human organization, including this college. God explains to Catherine, I, in my providence, did not give any one person or each individually the knowledge for doing everything necessary for human life. No, I gave something to one, something else to another, so that each one's need would be a reason to have recourse to the other. Thus you see the artisan turn to the worker, and the worker to the artisan. Each has need of the other because neither knows how to do what the other does. So also the cleric and religious have need of the layperson, and the layperson the religious. Neither can get along without the other. And so with everything else. Could I not have given everyone everything? Of course. But in my providence, I wanted to make each of you dependent on the others, so that you would be forced to exercise charity in action and will at once. Our final hope and prayer for you, Dr. Camille, is that you will be blessed throughout your tenure as president with practical wisdom, with the courage to listen as well as to lead, with wise counselors who feel free to offer differing views and new ideas, and with the ability to call forth and treasure the gifts of the faculty, other administrators, and the students as well, all of whom are eager to collaborate with you in imagining and moving into the future of the college. You wisely committed yourself to this style of collaborative administration at the time of your introduction to the Albertus community, when you pledged, I will serve as your leader alongside you and on your behalf. May you also be blessed with the spirit of Pope St. John the 23rd, who reputedly told God each night that he had done the best that he could, and it was God's church, not his own. On this day of your inauguration, let me join the choir of those speaking words of congratulation and gratitude. All best wishes to you and the academic community of Albertus Magnus College as you move into the future filled with holy curiosity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hilkert, for so eloquently and insightfully weaving together for us the relationship between study and the divine and the central role of holy curiosity in binding them together. And thank you for reminding us and reinforcing us in our founding mother's wisdom at having selected Albertus Magnus as our patron. Thank you. We will continue this celebration with a song, We Win, written by an alumnus of Albertus Magnus College, Daniel Bland, class of 2007, and performed by Kevin Moreau and Devotion.
Can you put your hands together? You can even rock a little bit. Listen, my brothers and my sisters, we have a message for you today.
A message for you.
Don't look at your current circumstances.
Discouraged.
No.
About the things that you're going through.
You see, it's not about how you begin in life.
How we began.
But it's all about how we end.
It's about how far we ran.
So we're here to tell you.
Let me tell you.
We're more than a
how the
conqueror.
story ends.
Because in the end, we win. Come on, listen.
My brothers, hey, sisters, I have a message for you. Don't you worry about anything that you're going through. It's not about, no, it's not about how we began. Hey, yeah. But it's about how far we ran. Let me, come on, can we tell you how the story ends? We win. In the time of destruction, corruption, and fear. In the time of recession, depression, and fear. We want to let you know there is victory. Yes, there is. You're gonna move ahead. The past is behind. Hey, it's not about how we began. No, but it's about how far we ran. Can we tell you? We want to tell you how the story ends. In the end, we win. In the time of destruction, He's gonna meet our needs. He's gonna be right there. In the time of recession, we don't have to worry. We've got Him on our side. There is victory. Yes, there is. We gotta move ahead. The past is behind you. Oh, there's victory. There's victory. You gotta move ahead. No time for looking back. The future's ahead of us. There's so much to conquer. There's so much to conquer. You gotta move beyond. There's victory. You gotta keep moving. There's so much ahead of us. Victory. Gotta move ahead. The past is behind. Oh, it's not about. Don't look back where you came from. There's a bright future ahead. Put your hands together as we celebrate today. There's such a bright future. If you move ahead, there's so much to conquer. The sky is the limit. We came to let you know. You gotta keep looking up. Don't you look back. Let us tell you how the story ends. Tell them how it ends. Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, that deserves a second round. Our Dominican heritage calls us to a well-lived life built on the four pillars of study, service, community, and prayer. Today, representatives of the Albertus community will share the following calls to the Albertus community and to President Camille. Representing the faculty, Professor Sarah Wallman, Associate Professor of English, will share the call to study. Representing the staff and administration, Ms. Joanne Day, Associate Director of the Library and Information Resources, will share the call to prayer. Representing undergraduate students, Ms. Janet Rios, class of 2019 and President of the Student Government Association, and representing graduate students, Mr. Peter Leahy, who is pursuing his Master's of Science in Management and Organizational Leadership, will share calls to community. Representing alumni, Ms. Hope Cahoon, class of 1999, will share the call to service.
We call Albertus Magnus College and Dr. Camille to live and promote the pillar of study. Every fall, students gather on this campus to renew their commitment to learning. We study chemistry and biology to understand our universe and anatomy. We study philosophy and literature to understand our place in the world. Social sciences to know where we have been and where we might go. We study leadership and business to learn how to marshal the world's resources. We take up the torch of art making because there are truths yet to be expressed. For a long time, the world was flat. Study complicates our understanding and gives us dimension. We celebrate the call of the Dominican pillar of study.
We call Albertus Magnus College and Dr. Camille to live and promote the pillar of prayer. The heritage of Albertus Magnus College is anchored in a spirit of prayer. St. Dominic preached that prayer and study were closely linked because they lead to a deepening faith in God. Guided by the Dominican principle to praise, to bless, to preach, the founders and sponsors of the college affirmed and taught that it is a religious act to study. Our college community recognizes that the common expression of our faith and hope is to reach not only toward God in contemplation, but toward others in practical service. Our Catholic identity and our faith lead us to embrace the spirit of the gospel. We celebrate the call of the Dominican pillar of prayer.
We call Albertus Magnus College and Dr. Camille to live and promote the pillar of community. It is an important mission to foster community for our college campus. Within Albertus, we are not only finding a place where we belong as a whole, but finding our individual selves. We're a family here, so it is necessary then to bring people together to advocate and support one another. With a smaller population, we have the unique opportunity to create intimate moments that we can remember and cherish. It is imperative that we have a leader who can aid in the continual growth of our community while being the glue that holds us together. The connection we have is one of utter importance. Moreover, our community is special because it is ours. And I know that you, Dr. Camille, will hold it at the same standard that we do in our hearts. We celebrate the call of the Dominican pillar of community.
We call Albertus Magnus College and Dr. Camille to live and promote the pillar of community. As you rise each day, experience anew your relationships in the Albertus Magnus community and beyond. Embrace your servant leader role, treating all with dignity, kindness, and respect, just as God has poured out his love for us equally. Let us open our eyes then and see the beauty of how we are all interrelated, and that community is neither a place or a group of people, but a matter of the heart. We celebrate the call of the Dominican pillar of community.
We call Albertus Magnus College and Dr. Camille to live and promote the pillar of service. God assigns unique gifts to individuals to work together to fulfill his plan for us. Our Albertus community has come together not by coincidence, but because we are joined in the common desire to learn, to share, and to ignite the world around us. Through serving one another and the greater community, we uphold the pillar of service. It is our desire that the students, alumni, faculty, and staff of this college share of themselves and the gifts we have received from our values-based liberal arts experience. Service brings out the best in each of us. It comes with responsibility, but the rewards are many. We celebrate the call of the Dominican pillar of service.
At this time, we will begin the formal installation ceremony. His Excellency, Archbishop Blair, will bless the mace and the medallion. This will be followed by the investiture of President Camille, which will be conducted by Dr. Susan Letzler-Cole, Professor of English and the senior faculty member at the college, Dr. Julia M. McNamara, President Emerita, Sister Ann Kilbride, Assistant to the President for Dominican Mission, and Ms. Jean Dennison, Chair of the Board of Trustees.
Could everyone please stand? My dear brother, in the course of your leadership and governance of this college, recognize in these symbols of your authority the tradition upon which Albertus Magnus College is founded. The Order of St. Dominic, the Order of Preachers, that whatever our state in life, the evangelical counsels of chastity, poverty, and obedience are the path to human flourishing in service of God and the gospel. The vision of education inspired by the Dominican Sisters of Peace, calling students to be courageous yet humble in upholding the truth, even in the face of the world's opposition. The treasures of wisdom, knowledge, and commitment to the academic life. Let us pray. Almighty and merciful Father, in your wisdom and love, you surround us with the wonders of creation, crowned by the human person made in the divine image and likeness. When we had wandered far from you by sin, you sent your prophets to teach your law and bear witness to your unfailing mercy. In the fullness of time, you sent your Son, Jesus Christ, to redeem us and to teach us by word and example that true wisdom and divine power are shown most profoundly as a gift of the Holy Spirit to be received in humility and self-sacrificing love. Through the intercession of Saints Dominic and Albert the Great, doctors of your church and patron saints of this college, bless this mace and medallion. Send your Spirit upon this president and upon the students, teachers, and staff of this college. Fill them with your wisdom and blessing, and grant that they may devote themselves to a life of faith, hope, and love. We make our prayer through our Lord Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever.
Today we gather as members of the Board of Trustees, sponsors of the college, the Dominican Sisters of Peace, civic and educational leaders, and faculty, staff, students, alumni, benefactors, family, friends, and guests to confer on Dr. Marc M. Camille, the office of President of Albertus Magnus College. As we have witnessed throughout this academic year, Dr. Camille has developed a passion for Albertus Magnus College as a values-based liberal arts Catholic college in the Dominican tradition. Dr. Camille has taken this inauguration's motto, Fearless Falcons, and modeled it in his commitment to and advocacy for the college. Dr. Marc M. Camille, you have been selected by the Board of Trustees to serve as the 14th president of Albertus Magnus College. With today's blessing by Archbishop Leonard Blair and the subsequent presentation to you of the Mace and Presidential Medallion, you receive the official symbols of your leadership responsibilities as president. It is my honor as an alumna and chair of the Board of Trustees to install you as president of Albertus Magnus College. To install you as president of Albertus Magnus College with all of its attendant rights, privileges, and responsibilities. By accepting this office as president, you have committed to serve with diligence, dedication, energy, vision, and integrity as you carry out the duties of president. Congratulations, President Camille.
Please remain standing for the Dominican blessing led by the Dominican Sisters of Peace and the Albertus Magnus College Chorus. Following the blessing, Ms. Jean Dennison will introduce the presidential address.
And
Please be seated. Perhaps you have browsed today's program and by now are familiar with the details of President Camille's biography, so I'm just going to share a few highlights. Raised in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, President Camille joined us from Loyola University, Maryland, where he served as Vice President of Enrollment Management and Communications. He earned his Bachelor of Arts degree from Rawlings College, where he studied English, his Master's of Arts degree in Liberal Studies from the University of Miami, and his doctorate in education from the University of Pennsylvania. While at Penn, President Camille's dissertation topic, nominated for distinction, examined the relationship between institutional religious affiliation and the desired college outcomes of deep learning, student engagement, and Jesuit values. Obviously, he wrote this before his introduction to Dominican values. President Camille's calling to higher education began at Mount Ida College, where he served as an admissions counselor. Since the beginning of his career, the student experience has been central to his passion for the transformative impact of the liberal arts education. I had the good fortune to have led the search committee that recommended President Camille's appointment, so I may be a bit biased, but I also had my fellow search committee members and a board of trustees in full agreement. In our view, President Camille is singularly suited to lead Albertus at this time in its history. In President Camille, we have a leader with the knowledge and experience, the skill and the talent to anticipate the changing world and the ever-evolving needs of our students and those of our faculty and staff. In his short time here in New Haven, it is evident that he leads with creativity, passion, and energy. In President Camille, we have a leader grounded in higher education, a leader committed to our Catholicity and Dominican heritage, and a leader who inspires others as he broadens awareness of all that is Albertus. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President Camille.
Thank you, Jean, for that most generous introduction. As I stand before you today, there are so many things for which I can be thankful in my life, and there are so many things I believe that we all can count among those that we give thanks on a daily basis. And I would be remiss today if we did not start with acknowledgement of this community's effort. I'll describe it as Herculean, to prepare the ceremonies that commenced with the day of study, the Mass yesterday, the reception and dinner, this installation ceremony, the gala event tonight, the day of service tomorrow. I would be remiss if we didn't give thanks to those who helped lead it. Sister Ann Kilbride, Special Assistant to the President for Dominican Mission and Ministries, Carolyn B. and Krause, Vice President for Development and Alumni Relations, and Andrea Kovacs, Vice President for Communications and Marketing. We all thank you. Members of the Albertus Magnus College Board of Trustees, Sister Patricia Toohill, Prioress of the Dominican Sisters of Peace, and members of the congregation, Dr. Julia McNamara, President Emerita, and Sister Ann Kilbride, Interim President, Archbishop of Hartford Leonard Blair, and other religious leaders, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, State Senator Gary Winfield, New Haven Mayor Tony Harp, fellow presidents and institutional delegates, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to this campus today. I am honored and humbled by your presence. And to Dr. McNamara, please allow me to take this opportunity to acknowledge the profound legacy of your 34-year tenure as president of this college. I stand on your shoulders, carrying the weight of responsibility to continue moving this great institution forward toward a bright future. I thank you and I admire you. To my former colleagues, my friends who are here today and around the country, your presence in my life is a grace and touches my heart. My career journey and whatever successes I might claim to have influenced, I attribute them to you, your support and encouragement. Father Brian Lenane, Society of Jesus and President of Loyola University, Maryland, I will always be grateful for your support and friendship and the opportunities you gave me during my years at Loyola. And now equally so for the beautiful homily and Mass of the Holy Spirit over which you presided yesterday. And Sister Mary Catherine Hilkert, I am grateful for your presence at this ceremony and for your insightful and inspiring remarks. Thank you. To my personal friends and family, an attempt at words right now to express the great admiration and love, the eternal debt of gratitude for your unconditional love and support, would fail miserably in conveying the depth of my emotions. So I simply say to each and every one of you who is here today or here in spirit, I love you. My children, my most precious blessings, Katie and Ryan. In this most public of settings and before God, I thank you for your goodness and your love. My life was forever changed for the better when God blessed your mother and I with your births. I love you. And with all heartfelt love and respect to the distinguished guests, friends, former colleagues, and even my family members, on this day, on this stage, on the steps of Rosary Hall, I am most humbled and honored to stand before the Albertus Magnus College community, the trustees, the Dominican Sisters of Peace, the faculty and the staff, the alumni, parents, and students. You, collectively and individually, are my inspiration. In this first year of serving as your president, you've welcomed me into your community, doing so with open arms and open hearts. You've nourished my soul and you have fueled my engine. You've ignited a fire within me, a passion for Albertus Magnus College that burns more strongly each day. I am grateful to count you among my new friends and colleagues, and for your palpable, unwavering support of this college, its distinctive and essential Catholic and Dominican mission and identity, and most importantly, the students we serve. I thank you. In 1989, fresh out of college, I was hired, as you have now learned, by Mount Ida College as an admission counselor. And if we think for a moment about the responsibilities of an admission counselor at a very base level, she or he is charged with recruiting new students to an institution, In doing so, admission counselors become the voice of their institution, sharing a narrative that ideally is equal parts candid and compelling. Admission counselors are charged with telling the stories about the institutions they represent. Among the myriad responsibilities expected of a college president, I argue one of those most essential is that of being the chief storyteller. As presidents, we must master our institutional narrative, historical and visionary, candid and compelling. So in my remarks today, it seems most appropriate, considering my background and my new responsibilities, to share with you some stories about Albertus Magnus College. In doing so, and now in full appreciation that these presidential inauguration ceremonies are not typically defined by their brevity, and acknowledging that I have the great honor and privilege of serving as the 14th president of Albertus Magnus College, I've established a personal goal that I suspect will be deemed to be wise: to keep my remarks to 14 minutes or less. Except silly me, I forgot to start the clock. So here we go. If we are to understand Albertus Magnus College and its story, it seems we should begin with a hark back to April 1926. A few short months after the founding of the college by the Dominican Sisters of St. Mary of the Springs, today's Dominican Sisters of Peace. In a letter to Mother Stephanie Moen, the Mother General of the Sisters, the college's first chaplain, Reverend Arthur Chandler, Order of Preachers, wrote, and this should sound familiar to you now: "The simple truth about Albertus Magnus College and its peculiar purpose is this: Albertus Magnus is not merely another college. It is rather a movement toward the realization of distinct and substantial ideals regarding the future of American womanhood, based upon the rock principles that education is the development of the entire being, and that higher faculties should receive development and should control all else. Albertus Magnus intends to build proportionately mind and will and being." Father Chandler continued, "The college stands opposed to superficial knowledge, to weak-willed paganism, and to veneered culture. It has set itself against these to become a vital and permanent and dominating influence. This, in brief, is the giant purpose of Albertus Magnus College." Father Chandler's message to Mother Stephanie was a call for Albertus Magnus College to be not merely another college, but rather one where education is the development of the entire being, opposed to superficial knowledge, and to become vital, permanent, and a dominating influence. The founding Dominican sisters and those involved with shaping Albertus Magnus College's earliest years, they boldly aspired toward nothing less than excellence. But excellence at Albertus Magnus College always has been about more than academic achievement or accolades. Catholic and Dominican values have unceasingly served as the bedrock for an Albertus Magnus education. The values and liberal arts-based education delivered for now 93 years continues to be informed and upheld by the 4 Dominican pillars that also framed this week's inauguration festivities: study, prayer, community, and service. Knowledge gained from study, from books, from experience, this alone is not sufficient for this college. Reflection, placing others' wants and needs above those of self, giving of oneself. These are the complementary values espoused at this college. Humbleness and humility can be found among the faculty, the staff, the students, the alumni of Albertus Magnus College. And we recall it was St. Dominic himself who said, "Arm yourself with prayer rather than a sword. Wear humility rather than fine clothes." The Albertus Magnus community is a testament to Dominic's charge. The mission of Albertus Magnus, I repeat, is to provide men and women with an education that promotes the search for truth in all its dimensions and is practical in its application. This college's mission professes faithfulness to its Catholic heritage and the Judeo-Christian tradition, while remaining dedicated to providing an opportunity for learning which responds to the academic needs and ethical challenges of its students and society. When I think about our world and the ever-growing litany of its challenges, there is a need and a call for more values-based, educated citizens, those with humility, prepared to apply their knowledge and experience for the betterment of society and others. Today, Albertus Magnus College educates 1,500 men and women, younger and older, undergraduate and graduate, in person and online, here in New Haven, in East Hartford, and from afar. This small college with a big purpose has throughout its history adapted to changing times and the needs of the greater New Haven community. Albertus was a pioneer in the adult education market, including innovative cohort-based programs. 6 decades after its founding, the college made the difficult but necessary decision to become coeducational. In the decades that followed, intercollegiate athletic teams were added, and today, the Falcons compete nationally at the NCAA Division III level. Today, the student body at Albertus Magnus College is intentionally, proudly diverse. More than 60% of our students are of color. Nearly the same percentage receive federal Pell Grants, and nearly half will be the first in their family to earn a college degree. The diversity of students and experiences that exist on this campus enriches the depth of the dialogue and learning that occurs inside and outside the classroom. It is my belief that if any college claims or aspires to excellence, diversity is an absolute necessity. The diversity that blesses us at Albertus Magnus College is the envy of so many colleges and universities who are striving to diversify their student bodies. In higher education today, there is considerable focus, dialogue, strategy, and investment in support of increasing access to higher education, as there should be. A college education should be more than just a dream for those from underrepresented or less privileged backgrounds. However, I do not believe that access to higher education is enough. For one to benefit from higher education, one must complete higher education. Degree completion not only needs to be the goal, it needs to be the expectation. I have said it time and again since my arrival on this campus. Every student who graces us with their decision to enroll at Albertus Magnus College needs to do so expecting to finish their degree. Those who graduate from this college, dating back deep into its history and continuing today, they go on to be successful, civically engaged students. And please grant me a moment to brag. One of the metrics used by colleges and universities around the country to measure institutional value is how alumni are doing 6 months after graduating. Nationally, for the class of 2017, 71% of bachelor's degree recipients were either employed full-time or in graduate school. For Albertus Magnus College's class of 2017, 96% were employed full-time or in graduate school. An Albertus Magnus College education is a door opener. It is a life changer. It's transformative. And let's be candid. If we consider the demographic profile of our student body, if we relied upon national norms and historical data, the easy path would be to accept less than excellence. Not here. How and why are Albertus students so successful? It begins with 93 years of Catholic and Dominican values and liberal arts-based education. Added to that, to its philosophy, are experiential opportunities brought forward by this college's dedicated faculty and staff. Albertus students complete internships. They work on campus and at home. They conduct research as undergraduates alongside the talented faculty members who mentor them. And in this first year of my tenure, I've come to appreciate that Albertus Magnus College students work hard and they realize that nothing in life worth achieving is given or comes without effort and sacrifice. But there's something more at play on this campus, in this community. Back in the fall, in preparation for these inauguration festivities, we conducted some research among the faculty and staff, inquiring about the essence of an Albertus Magnus College education. What makes this place distinctive? Why the sense of commitment to this college's mission and its students is so strong? What was offered in response by members of the Albertus faculty was among the most powerful and compelling testaments I've heard in my 29 years of working on college campuses. At Albertus Magnus College, we love our students into soaring to become their best selves. Colleges around the country strive to foster community. At Albertus Magnus, it's more than a community, it is family. There is love shown every day on this campus, as it should be. This college's patron saint, its namesake, Albert the Great. In referencing a passage from the scriptures in the first letter of St. John, it is by the path of love, which is charity, that God draws near to man and man to God. But where charity is not found, God cannot dwell. If then we possess charity, we possess God, for God is charity. God is charity, God is love. We love our students into soaring toward their best selves. and out of deference to and support for the Dominican sisters who founded this college and the women who alone for 6 decades formed its student body, I affirm St. Albert's call for God's charity, God's love, with the powerful words of a woman, Dominican Saint Catherine of Siena: "A soul cannot live without loving. It must have something to love, for it was created to love." We love our students into soaring to become their best selves. The mascot for Albertus Magnus College intercollegiate athletics teams is the falcon. Lore has it that St. Albert himself and his family were falconers. And you may not be aware, the falcon is the fastest member of the animal kingdom in the world. After soaring to maximum heights, peregrine falcons have been recorded during hunting dives at speeds faster than 240 miles per hour. In 1926, Albertus Magnus College aspired to be not merely another college. Through educating and developing the entire being, and in opposition to superficial knowledge, Albertus Magnus sought to become a vital and permanent and dominating influence. 93 years later, we are graced with a beautiful prose found in the chapters that narrate the story of Albertus Magnus College. And as I stand before you today, now officially charged with stewarding through my leadership as president, this most precious and necessary mission, I unabashedly declare to you that this college's brightest moments are yet to unfold. In 1926, nothing less than excellence would be good enough for Albertus Magnus College. As we move forward, we will seek greater excellence. Our goal will be to engage more deeply in the fulfillment of our essential mission. In the fall, we will commence a shared strategic visioning and planning process, seeking to identify opportunities for distinction and distinctiveness as we set our sights on the year 2025, the centennial milestone for this great college. We will build upon our time-tested educational philosophy. Over the course of this first year, serving as president, it has become clear to me that there never has been a time where the Catholic and Dominican values and liberal arts-based education offered at Albertus Magnus College is as needed or relevant as it is today. We acknowledge the world and workplaces are not singular in their disciplines, so we will embrace interdisciplinarity. We will provide academic and co-curricular programming that continue to support and prepare Albertus Magnus students for career success, for civic engagement, and values-based servant leadership. We will continue to celebrate and embrace the richness of diversity. The Albertus Magnus College Falcons will continue to compete for athletic championships while remaining true to their primary focus of earning college degrees. We will share the stories of Albertus Magnus College impact with wider audiences. We will grow our enrollment and we will grow our resources. We will remain humble and we will model humility. But make no mistake, we will be proud and bold in living out our mission and in achieving our vision. The city of New Haven needs Albertus Magnus College. Our world needs Albertus Magnus College. The motto of these inauguration ceremonies is Fearless Falcons. If we again hark back one more time to St. Catherine of Siena, we hear her calling. Proclaim the truth and do not be silent through fear. A proven truth, one which I embrace and declare, is the motto on which this college makes its promises to students. We have faith in your future. Distinguished guests, my colleagues, my friends and family, and members of the Albertus Magnus College family, without condition and with a burning passion, I declare to you, I have faith in the future of Albertus Magnus College, and I will do all I can in leading this college to achieve nothing less than excellence. This world needs nothing less than Albertus Magnus College. God bless you all, and thank you.
Please join me once again in congratulating President Camille. Celebrating with us today is the Reverend Bonita Grubbs, Executive Director of Christian Community Action. Reverend Grubbs will offer the benediction.
In all that is good and godly, may we go forth from this celebrating place of Dr. Marc Camille's inauguration. The rich history and distinguished history of Albertus Magnus College and the leaders past and present. May we go forward within this rededicating space to the mission and charism of excellence in study, constancy of prayer, emphasis on community and commitment to serve. May we go forward to the new, activating, and aspirational grace, the manifestation of the Spirit, holy and human, the pursuit of God's most excellent way, and the expression of our calling to fulfill in New Haven and beyond. Amen.
Amen. Sister Margaret Ormond, a Dominican Sister of Peace and President of Dominican Academy, will now introduce the alma mater.
Thank you. As we come to the end of this installation ceremony, we go back to the beginning of the college and the foundation laid by its foundresses and sponsors, as you all know who they are now, the Dominican Sisters. The gift instilled into the life of the college by the sisters is the richness of the Dominican tradition, which we have celebrated all afternoon. We celebrate these roots once again as we close the installation ceremony. In a few minutes, we will stand and sing the Alma Mater, sung by Albertus graduates since the first commencement in 1928. The last line of the refrain reads, "Fearless, endless truth." This phrase recalls our mission to promote the search for truth and to do this with the fearlessness needed to bring truth to others. And as we have heard and we know, this attitude of fearlessness is a theme often spoken by our new president, Camille, as he describes his vision for Albertus Magnus community. After we sing together the Alma Mater, we will close the installation ceremony with the release of 2 peace doves, reminding us once again of our roots from the Dominican Sisters of Peace and the quest, I think we can all acknowledge, to seek truth in order to promote peace. Remain standing of the Alma Mater, and then there will be the release of the peace doves.
Please be seated. Don't worry. There were so many staff members, as President Camille mentioned, so many people involved in the preparations over these 4 days, staff members, musicians, members of the Albertus community, and so we'd like just to take a moment and thank them with a round of applause. Following the recessional, there we go. Following the recessional, we would like to invite you to a reception under the tent over by McAuliffe Hall. And I would just point out that in the tent, there's something very special. There's a mural that has been created by the Albertus community under the leadership of Professor Lisa Furman, director of our Master of Arts in Art Therapy and Counseling program, and with the assistance of Professor Jerome Nevins, who is the co-chair of the Department of Visual and Performing Arts. The mural, called Albertus Soars, was created by the Albertus community, and it was born out of a recognition of, or I would even say inspiration, from President Camille over the past year, asking us to think about ourselves and to consider the future that we have before us. And so the mural is an expression of the hopes and the dreams of this community as we move forward. So I would invite you to take some time and look at the mural. For the recessional, we would ask that you remain seated, and while the platform party processes out, and it will be led by the platform party, then our delegates, and the faculty, and the staff. And I would ask now that President Camille come forward, retrieve the mace, and lead our recessional.